Welcome to a short update. We're going to look at the altcoins at this point, and we're going to have a look at the total altcoin market cap as well in this short update, in which we can conclude that the markets are just having a very healthy correction and are not doing too much wrong at this point. Before we continue, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel, also check out our free trade letter and check out our premium platform, which you can find in the description beneath. Which is a platform where you can learn how to trade crypto. You can get trade IDs, you can get my portfolio and some more portfolios as well. And it's all for a relatively cheap price. Now, when we're looking at the markets, we can see that the altcoin market cap is doing really well. What I mean by doing really well is that there are a few interesting points to look at. First of all, we've got this all-time high in 2017 when it comes to the prices, right? So we've got this one in which we had a clear bear market since then, which took a very long time as we only started to make new highs in 2021. So after 2018, it took 4 years to actually get there. Same could be done here. Right now we are having a peak in 2021. We are consolidating here in 2022. We'll break bear market in 2022, which is similar here. And now we are consolidating, probably having a relief rally, just like we have been seeing here in 2019, before we have another sideways year, as then we start to rally. So it will take some time before we start to shoot off. And this is the boring period of the time. Most likely peak all-time high will take place in 2025. But ultimately, this is the period where you want to accumulate your position. So what are we looking at in terms of the market perspective? If you see the entire breakout we've had here in 2019, it also rested on the 200-week MA before another rally took place. In that regard, the rally that took place over here was induced by the fact that we have been cracking resistance and started an uptrend, and then we took all the highs which we were creating in the bear market as a result, through which we can see that was enough liquidity to reverse the market. So when we go back towards the picture we have here, we can see that the all-time high of 2017 is resting as support, and we've got a clear bullish divergence at this point, which is indicating that we are going to have some more upwards momentum that is getting fueled by a higher low and higher high, through which the trend is going to reverse. Now, we don't clearly have a higher high, but we are getting into the resistance, and as I mentioned before on social media and also on YouTube, if we get into this resistance period, there's usually a period where you're going to have some consolidation before we start to shoot off. And if you can look at the markets here, we are having a pretty natural correction taking place on the markets before we can start accelerating again. What we see still is the double bottom at the all-time high. Most likely that is the bottom call. And we do see that we are facing this resistance point, clearly looking for a higher low right now. And once we continue to hold the higher low, we are facing the resistance point again here. And then as we combine this strategy here with the strategy we've had in 2019, it is very reasonable to suspect that we have a breakout above 700 billion, close this gap and finalize around 1 trillion before we are going to have another swift correction taking place. So there is the upwards momentum and there is the upwards relief to be made. Also, we've got the 200-week MA resting as support beneath us. So there's still some continuation to make at that point, in the fact that the 200-week MA will probably become support, and then we have a path towards 1 trillion. Why am I saying that there's a potential relief continuation to be happening? Well, if we look at the Nasdaq and we look at the weekly picture, we are also back above the 200-week MA here on the Nasdaq. Had a pretty decent bounce taking place as numbers are kicking in more positive. Right now we are into a stage where positive numbers are again good for the economy, which means that there's a potential soft landing case still taking place. But we are back above the 200-week MA, and as long as we stay above the 200-week MA, you can see that the trend just continues to go up, which means that we are into a period that most likely we start to have the higher low already. We've made the higher high, higher low here, which is still holding up. If we break beneath 11,800, this is invalidated. But we are holding up here, which means that most likely we're going to find ourselves into a new higher high on the Nasdaq and also on the S&P. And also we can conclude that here you can see the S&P, which is also starting to trend up again. You can also conclude that the DXY is eager to have a correction taking place, as this week has been a relatively corrective week already, and it's facing resistance points. And then if the DXY starts to tumble down, it's a period where the markets are most likely going to have more upwards momentum when it comes to risk on. And also additionally, what you need to look at is the yields. The yields are looking at resistance at this point. They probably are going to turn around based on this weekly candle, based on the fact that we are into resistance, and based on the fact that probably the Fed will adjust the policy. And whether that is the case, Bitcoin and altcoins are going to shoot off again. So it's time to still buy the dip. When we're looking at Ethereum, it looks a bit stronger than Bitcoin at this stage, back above the 200-week MA as well, just having a relatively regular correction taking place, in which that if we are doing the entire scenario here as well, we can see that we are making a higher high, we are looking for a higher low, which we are currently finding ourselves. If we do continue to sustain above the area of 1500, the next few periods will bring us above 2K, and we're looking at 2.5K. I hope you have enjoyed this update. I'll be back tomorrow with a fresh new one. Have a great weekend.